My name is Allison Boyle. I am from Texas originally. I actually didn't grow up doing outdoorsy things. When I graduated from college in 2012, I was actually also going through a divorce. I had gotten married young. I knew that I wanted to make a change. I want to get myself out of my comfort zone. I'm tired of doing the same things all the time. And I just knew I wanted to go someplace that would provide me that kind of opportunity, that possibility. I ended up taking a job offer with engineering in California. One of these opportunities that I got to say yes to was I was at a water cooler with some of my coworkers, and I was hearing them talk about Half Dome. And I did not know what the Half Dome hike was at the time. I was like, oh, that sounds amazing. And they said, oh, we have an extra permit. Do you want to go? And because I was in that year of yes, like normally I would have said, oh, no way. Like I've never done anything like that before. I don't have any gear or anything. I just made myself say yes. I was like, okay, I'm in. Didn't know what I was doing. My friend had just given me a packing list, and I went on that very first backpacking trip absolutely knowing anything, which is, it got my foot in the door, and it was one of the hardest things I'd ever done in my life, but also one of the probably most life-changing things looking back that I ever did for myself, because I didn't know it at the time, but the outdoors from that moment on was going to become such a really big anchor and catalyst for everything else that I went on to do in my life.
Nice, Carrie.
That's where I ended up, every weekend I was pretty much doing stuff, traveling all the time, sleeping in the back of my car, just falling in love with the outdoors, which eventually led me to meeting my husband, Michael. Fast forward about 7 years from that backpacking trip in Half Dome, that's when I was like, it was a no-brainer. I wanted to get a van.
Hello. Excuse us.
Would you happen to know where the climbing is?
The climbing.
Rocks.
Where's the climbing?
We were planning a trip to New Zealand, and we decided to make that trip kind of a test trip for exploring if we would like a van. We decided to rent a van for our New Zealand trip. It was like a 2-week trip, and we were going to explore. We had one of the best trips of our life, probably. So coming back from that trip, that's kind of when we knew we were gonna want to start looking for a van and like opening some of those new doors for us. Shortly after we got the Wayfarer vans and we picked it up from Colorado, brought it back to California, Michael and I went on a backpacking trip in the Trans-Catalina Trail in California with a couple of friends of ours. And I remember on that trip we were having the most amazing time that we looked over at each other, and I told Michael, I kind of had this wild idea. I was like, what if we did this all the time? So that's kind of what sparked me entering into entrepreneurship. Both of us quit our jobs and we burned the boats. I was like, there's no way, I can't have one foot in the door of safety, which was my corporate career, and one door in this entrepreneurship world, because I knew I needed to go all in on this idea and at least give it a full fighting chance. I started thinking about, well, what are some ways that I can make some extra income to kind of supplement our full-time travels? And it led me to blogging, which led me to thinking about what other ways I could support people. So I started an outdoor blog, And then I started creating what is now known as the Backpacking Badass program, which is one of our signature programs to teach women how to be safe, confident, and self-sufficient in the outdoors. Michael spent the month of May kind of putting some final touches on our Wayfarer van to make it a little bit more full-time livable. And I was literally delivering the program to our very first cohort of students. We had like 12 students in the program for my very first enrollment. And then in June, we hit the road full time and started traveling full time in the van.
What are we doing?
Hitting the road.
For how long?
For however long we want.
Or the money runs out.
The money runs out. Really just like went all in on traveling the US, exploring the Western US, going to all these different places, hiking, climbing, even backpacking, like all over in these new places we've always wanted to visit. While on the same note, I was also building my business and growing that and figuring it out and being really scrappy. We decided to just keep the van life train going because we really were enjoying it. We really enjoyed that simple lifestyle. We enjoyed going to new places, seeing new things. So right now, I'm headed to Cheyenne Canyon. It's like one of my favorite places to hike in Colorado Springs area. There's just so many really, really good trails out here. All kinds of mileage, lots of variety. I come out here a lot when I'm doing training hikes for, client trips or personal hikes, or I like to take family out here, all the things. So now that we've moved to Colorado, we're no longer living in the van full time. We still use it very much as like our weekend kind of adventure vehicle, especially when we want to go somewhere and stay overnight. Oh. Sad. We just got back from a climbing retreat, actually, our very first one in Joshua Tree. One of my favorite things about having the van is that it's really enabled me to go on these retreats and feel really like I have my home base even when I'm away from home. So I take the van with me, and like for instance this summer I'm going to be in the Eastern Sierras for 3 weeks. So instead of me having to get hotels and like bouncing around, I just have my little home base in between backpacking trips where I get to like come back to. It feels familiar. It's where all my gear is. I pack for the next trip and get ready. It's really been great, like having that as my hub for these adventure retreats we started incorporating into our business just in the last couple of years. Whoa, this is full. I should have not put it all in one.
Born over a fault line, bad teeth and worse habits.
So it was really special for me to be able to take everything that we've been doing at She Dreams of Alpine and expand that into climbing retreats. Because for me, climbing was kind of the next level of growth for me as somebody who was seeking an outdoor and adventurous sort of identity, and kind of expanding what that could be, and like the skill sets that I had and the courage that I had. I really wanted my clients to be able to experience that for themselves in a really positive kind of lighting. And then also Joshua Tree is just beautiful. We got to, camp on this like ranch, and get to spend our evenings together. In the mornings we would do yoga, and then the afternoons we would go out to the climbing areas and we'd have all these ropes and be learning all these things. Clients got to learn how to belay, and some of them even learned how to rappel and practice like all the different climbing skill sets. Maybe you could stand up a little bit more and then So this is our first She Dreams of Alpine rock climbing retreat. I first started doing in-person retreats with women about a year ago, and we started with backpacking, and we thought it would be really fun to introduce rock climbing, because for me, like, the outdoors, backpacking, rock climbing all mean something very special to me, and it's really important for me to be able to show this to other women, how like strong, capable they are, that they can do hard and scary things, like especially if they've never identified that way before, because I have a kind of similar story around that. So yeah, super stoked to be here and be hosting our first climbing retreat and sharing that with them.
I made it! Woo!
I have failed on so many mountains, like actual mountains, that alone has taught me, and I think it's what prepared me for entrepreneurship and starting my own business. I had this sort of reinvention moment when I moved to California and I went on that very first backpacking trip, and it opened doors for me to like see new possibilities for who I am and how I could identify and see myself, which has led me to so many other doors opening, kind of fully going into that one and seeing that, maybe I could do this full time, or maybe I could travel full time, maybe I could start my own business. All these new possibilities and doors open for me by kind of like following my curiosity and being really willing and open to explore different versions of myself that I didn't initially kind of expect for my life. I think I really expected my life would follow a very traditional path. What the outdoors has really shown me is that so much is available to me. And that's something I'm really proud to say, that I get to help my clients and my students explore for themselves through the activity of backpacking and seeing themselves sort of transform into these people they've never seen themselves as, and again, open doors for them to like step into a new way of being and showing up in this world. It's almost like a dream come true, like living in a place where you can literally walk outside your door and have trail access. Climbing retreat.
Can you start?
Ooh. In this moment, if I wanted a pizza or a burger, I'd probably lean pizza. Yeah.